Hi there guys, welcome back to another C# tutorial. In the previous video we spoke about using constructors. Today we are going to see how to work with an array of objects. Okay, so first we have this simple application. It's an empty one. We are going to start by creating a class. So right click here and select add, and we're going to choose a class. Now our class will be similar to the previous one, where we are going to store um, people information. So I'm gonna say person uh, class. There we go. And I'm gonna hit add here. Okay, so we got the class. This is person class. Wonderful. Next we're gonna create the member functions. So we have public name. Let's say person name. Sorry, forgot the data type. String person name. There we go. Semicolon. Public int person age, semicolon. And finally we have public. I'm gonna add here for example here let's say boolean male. So if it is true, it means that person's male, otherwise the person's female. Okay, next we're gonna create a constructor here. We have person class. Where is it? Let me see. Public person class. Close that. Okay, this is the first constructor. It doesn't take any parameter, and we're going to create another one. Public person class. There we go. Name string name. Next we have I'm gonna make it like that to make it easier for me. Int age, and the last one is boolean male. There we go. Okay, we're gonna change this into person. Yep. Okay, so let me move this a little bit down. Okay, now what are we gonna do here? We are gonna just store these variables. Okay, so we have here person name equal name semicolon. We're gonna say person age equal age semicolon, and person male equals male. Okay, and we're gonna add a method here. Public. I'm rewriting the code just in order to remind you how we did things here. Here we're gonna write the print method. Print system out. Wait, sorry. System IO, I think it was. System. Oh, sorry, totally forgot. Console.read write line. Yeah, I'm getting confused between Java and C#. Sorry about that. It has been a while since I used the console. Anyway, I'm gonna say the person, or let me write it like that. name person name plus space, move this a little bit here, is a male of age plus person age dot to string, and we're gonna close this and semicolon. Now basically this is not always true, because sometimes this value is false, which means the person is a female, so we add an if statement. So if person male, okay, then this part gets executed, else we get an almost identical copy, and this time it's a female. Okay, wonderful. So we finished this method, we created the constructors, we created the member variables, we are ready to test the code, but we haven't started on creating an array of objects. So here, let's go into our program, and I'm gonna say here person class p equals new person class. Okay, I'm gonna use the second one, this math of age 30, and it's a true, and we have p dot print, and finally console dot read line. Okay, and now we're gonna run the code. Where's the window? There we go. So Smith is a male of age 30. So far so good. There's no problem. Now if you remember, previously we spoke about arrays, and arrays are used to store a large number of variables. In this case, our variable is going to be an object, which means it's this type of variable, the one being created with the new statement. So what are we going to do here? We are going to read the information for a number of people, and then we are going to print all these informations. Okay, so we're going to add a method here, which is used to read the data. Okay, so public void read. Okay, next we are going to say person name equal console read line. Okay, of course, before reading the information, we need to put a useful friendly method to tell the user what he should do. So console write. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, this is a new keyboard. Right. There we go. Right. Enter name. Okay. So we read the name. Next, console write. Enter age. Semicolon. And then what are we gonna do? We're gonna say person age equals int dot parse console read line. Okay, and finally we're gonna ask a yes no question. Console, or actually console dot write is male y/n question mark semicolon, and here we are going to use an if statement. So if we are going to use string s equal console read line. Okay, so if s dot equals y, in that case we are gonna say person male equals true, otherwise we will assume what is being entered is is no. This is not always true because you could enter anything else and it's gonna assume the person is a female. But anyway, person male equal false. There we go. Now this is it. The read method is finished. So as we go here, we're gonna change this a little bit. Let us first try to read the information, see it work before trying to read the information for a number of people. Now here we're gonna say p.read. Okay, here we go. And then we are gonna run this. Name Smith. Nice. Age 30. Is male? Yeah. Smith is a male of age 30. Let's try another thing here. Okay. Linda. 22. Example. I'm gonna say no. Does female of age 22. Nice. So it works. Now we're gonna modify this code and we're gonna store the information for, let's say, 10 people, or make it less, 4 people. So how do you do that? And what do you do if you have, let's say, 1000? Well, basically you define an array. So if you remember the way we did that, we created something like this. Okay, we will say person class, something like that, p equals, let me see here, person class of, let's say, 4 semicolon. Now the first thing, or the first mistake that some people might have when writing this is thinking that person class, when you write this, is that you have now 4 objects. This is wrong. What you have here in this statement, what you get is an array that have only 4 empty pointers. You don't have 4 objects. Now, how do we test this? What I'm saying is true. How do you know that is true? Well, let's try to read the information for the first one. Again, say p of 0 dot read, right? And p of 0 dot print. Okay, let's see if that works. So we're gonna run this, and it doesn't accept anything. Let me see, what did I do here? Oops, I'm sorry, forgot the new keyword. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but anyway. Okay, and I've just run this, and what do I get? It is a null reference exception was unhandled. What this one is saying is that p of 0 does not exist. So let me show you this. With the watch window. This is the watch window. Okay, so now I'm gonna put p in here, p capital. Okay, and it is an array. And what do you see here? You see 4 nulls. Okay, and this is why you are getting the error. So when you are working with objects, things are a little bit different from structures. When you are working with objects, you have to do, the first thing you have to do is to create the array, which will create a list or an array of pointers only, and then you will need to create the objects in the array. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here. How do we address this? We simply create these objects. So now I'm going to say for int I equals 0, I is more than, I can write 4, or I could say just p dot count. Sorry, size, I think, no, just count, right? Oh, sorry, it's length. I'm forgetting things here. Sorry. And now what do? We are gonna work on the ith object. So we're gonna say p of I equals new person class this creates the object. Now p of I dot read, no problem. Now we're gonna read the information, and after we finish reading the information, we are gonna loop on these objects and print them one after another. So for int I equals 0, I smaller than p dot length and I plus plus, and we're gonna say p of I dot print. There we go. Okay, so we are gonna say run here. Okay, so enter the name Smith 30, yeah. Linda 22, no. Michael 33, yeah. Catherine, okay. Age 40, no. So what do you see? Smith is male of 30, Linda is age, and so on. So it is working now. And if you check the code here, if you have a look at the code right here, what do you see? You see that what actually happened is that we initialized the object in each cell in the array, and then we started working on that object. If we forget to add the initialization or the creation of the object, we would get a null pointer exception. So to recap things quickly, when you are creating an array of objects, the first step is creating the array. Second step, or the thing that you must never forget, is that this array is empty. The elements are just pointers. They do not contain actual objects. You have to create the objects and make the elements in the array point to them. Okay? Now, let us try to do something a little bit tricky. Before that, let me show you something important here. Since it's still reading, I'm going to stop this for a second. It's on the read line still, but the program hasn't finished, didn't exit yet. So I'm going to show you this here. You can see the objects now. The objects are not null. Let me show you this. Okay, so you can see there's an object, there's another object, the information is different, there's another object, and so on. Okay, so I'm gonna do something different here. I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna copy some of the information, okay, and make some unpredictable behavior. Okay, I'm gonna say p of 3 equals p of 0. Okay, I'm gonna make p of 3 equal p of 0. Okay, so here when you look at this part or this statement, what you think usually is, well, these are 4 elements, these are 4 objects, 4 independent, and we are gonna fill each one here. So far so good. Later on we will overwrite the first the fourth element with the first one. Okay, remember that we start indices from 0. Now in structures a copy will be made, but these are pointers. Okay, so what is gonna happen is some unusual behavior. That behavior is this element here and this element here are gonna point to the same element. Okay, so I'm gonna run this and show you what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna run. For the first person, I'm gonna use number. Okay, so n1 for the first number. This is h1, and yes, this is gonna be n2, h2, and yes, n3, h3, and yes, and n4. This is value 4, and yes, and I'm gonna hit enter. Check this. N1 is male, blah blah blah, N2, N3, and 4 is missing, and 1's here. Okay, Well, you might say, well, this is normal simply because I just copied P of 0 into P3. Well, if you are using structure, this would be true. But if you do this, P of 3 dot person name equals first value should not be affected. So the name here is going to be this very long string, no problem. So we are going to assume that this one will be affected alone, right? Some would say, well, the first value should not be affected at all, right? So I'm going to run here again. I'm going to say n1, h1, yes, n2, h2, yes, n3, 3 and yes, and 4, h4 and yes, and enter. Just check this. First value should not be affected, but you can see that the first value has been affected, right? So as the fourth value. So what is going on here? So I'm going to close this. Let me show you what's going on in the trace window. Okay, so I'm going to put a breakpoint right here. So I'm going to run this. Okay, so this is going to be n1, h1, yep, n2, h2, yep, n3, h3, yep, n4, h4, and yep. Okay, so we got into that, no problem here. And where is the watch window? View, debug, Windows, where's watch? This is the watch window. There we go. So let me show you this here. I'm gonna display the first and the fourth. Okay, try to maximize these. Okay, so check the values here, right? So this is n1, this is n4. So far so good. Now let me put this one close together. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna step over. Okay, I'll have to use this one so as not to cause a problem. Okay, so now this statement get executed right away. Okay, so P of 3 and now is pointing to the same value that P of 0 is pointing to. So you can see here now both values are the same, which would make sense if you are working with subtractor. So far the behavior is the same as expected, but now we are going to change only the fourth value, which have index of 3, right? We are going to execute this one. So I'm going to execute this one once. Check this out. You can see that this one got changed and this one got changed, and the reason for that is sorry, the fourth element and the first element are pointing to the same object. Actually, if I change this one here and say 33, you can see this one get changed as well. And if I change this, let's say this one to false, this one is being changed to false. Okay, so this is all because the value is pointing to the same object. So if things aren't very clear to you now, I'm gonna use Paint here and try to explain things in a graphical manner. So let's say, for example, that this is your array. Okay, and maybe we need line here to create these elements. So this is the first element, this is a second element, this is another element, third and the fourth. Okay, and when you are using this part of the code, let's move this one a little bit to the side. Okay, when you are saying P of I equals new person class, what is happening? The part a new person class alone does the following. Actually, it is gonna create it's gonna create this little box, okay, with, let me use the color red here, and with a field for the name, a field for the age, and a field for the male or female indication, right? This is only the new person class statement, just to create this small part in memory, okay? And the equal sign, you can see now this one, p of I equals the new. So this part we understood what it does, but the equal part have an interesting thing to do here. It is gonna make this element, where's this one? This element points to here, okay? This is what's happening. So this is what happens when you create the first element. And next, when you are gonna use the new statement again, Control C, click, Control V. Sorry about the graphics, it's not that good, I understand, but yeah. There's another one. Okay, maybe we need to increase the size of this one a little bit. Okay, and put the last one here. Okay, I know this is not very good graphics, but anyway, so let's go back to here. Okay, and this is the second object. Okay, and this is the third object. So far so good. Okay, and this is the last object, right? Okay, so far so good. So by the end of this for loop, okay, by the end of this for loop, you will get something like this. You'll get something like this array pointing to the objects in memory. Okay, so each element in the array is actually just a single pointer pointing to one object only. Okay, now what happens next? Let's have a look. So we are saying the last element should use the same value as the first element. In other words, this one is a pointer and this one is a pointer. So this pointer should point to the same location this one is pointing to, which in other words, it means, let me use this one. Okay. Yeah, the recording of programs calling the response to be very horrible. Okay, let's go here. So it's gonna make this one point here. Okay. So now check this out. This one is left alone. No one's pointing to this one, and because no one's pointing to this one, the garbage collector is going to destroy this object. Okay, but now we have this one, this element here, and this element here. Okay, so we have this one and we have this one, both pointing to this object. So if I change the data, I'm going to choose a different color here. Okay, if I change the data in here, the changes is going to appear to be in here and here. Okay, what happens, this one didn't change and this one didn't change, but the location that both of these two cells are pointing to have changed. This is why when I change the value, in one of these, okay, and press enter, the other one gets changed too, because what you see here is where P of 0 is pointing to. What you see here is where P of 3 is pointing to, which is the same. So these values are actually occupying the same memory cells. And this is why we are getting this behavior. So this is something to keep in mind when working with arrays of objects, okay? Because if you don't understand this well, and you might think that objects or classes work in a similar way to structures, you will get into very weird behaviors, and you might not understand why the program is behaving this way. Okay, so just remember, array of objects are actually array of pointers, and the object variable is actually a pointer. Okay, I hope you'll find this useful. In the next video, we'll talk more about how to address this issue and how we can copy objects. Okay, so thank you for watching. Happy New Year and have a wonderful holiday. Bye bye.